The Hindu community has been working to bridge the divides in America. We all live in a beautiful country where everyone comes together. I want to tell you a story. When I moved in, it was maybe 26 years ago. I was sitting at McDonald's, didn't know a soul, and there was somebody who looked like me, and she was from India. And she looked at me and said, "Are you from Pakistan?" And I said, "Yeah." "Are you from India?" We became friends. We both had kids, and our children grew up together. Later on, as the geopolitics increased, I lost her as a friend. And I think that is what we want to stop. Our next generation cannot be a victim of geopolitics. And we have to teach our children to be peacemakers. We have our kids here studying in the best of universities, enjoying the best of life. We have to teach them to secure a peaceful future for all the people in South Asia. You see, most of us are here on the panel are women. We are matriarchs, and we understand that when children are little, when they are young, they get influenced by what they hear at home. They take it to the schools. I've been a public school teacher for the past 20 years. And I know how hate is spread. And what we must do together as responsible American citizens is to bridge that divide. And that is why today we are gathered here to talk about what we can do, what we have been doing, and how we must forge a better future for all of us here, as women and as human beings. I'm very fortunate to have wonderful people here on the panel, and I'm going to start with Rakhi ji. She's here from California. She's an attorney, and I will ask her, each of the panelists are going to be giving an opening statement. After that, we have some questions for the panelists, and then we'll open it to discussion. We do want to tell you that this is not about politics. This is about us, one human race, Americans, mothers, and just people. We're here to unite, not to divide. We're here to find common ground, not to look for differences. And if we do have a difference, we want to embrace it and understand it and create that bridge. That is why we're here. So with that, I ask Rakhi ji to begin.
Thank you, Neelaji. So I first want to just start, I appreciate this opportunity to be on a panel of such wonderful people, Neelaji, Ranaji, Richaji, Rituji. So I'm very happy to have this topic and to be able to speak on it. I mean, if you look at it, Hindus and Muslims together make a huge part of humanity across the world. And in furtherance of this overarching goal to propagate peace and harmony throughout humanity, not only through our own communities, but throughout the world, I feel that this panel is pretty timely because we live in a world where you've got the modern media, you've got the government, and you've got some destructive organizations that are constantly promoting a very negative agenda that not only threatens us as humans, but the entire society as we move forward. On both the macro and micro level, the connections and interactions between this half of humanity, I believe is pretty strong, and the evidence shows that it's pretty strong. And there are basically 2 points that I wish to make. The first is that if we look at the region in which Hindu Dharma originated, and the region that has one of the highest concentrations of Hindu Muslims in absolute numbers, which is India, Hindus and Muslims in India share a bond with a common heritage, common culture, and even genetics. And whether you're a Hindu or a Muslim in India, the respect for religion pervades the life of the individual, the family, and the entire society. For example, the river Ganga is considered to be incredibly auspicious to Hindus, but yet, as late as 150 years ago, there were Muslim communities in India that would offer homage to the dead parents at the Ganga. In many places across India, the Hindu festival of Holi is celebrated by whole communities, irregardless of the religion. The second point I wish to make is that even in the greater region of that area, The celebration of the common Hindu culture and heritage still occurs today. There's an open recognition of the people on the ground that the culture is the same. The religions might be different, but the culture and the way we live our lives, the food we eat, the music we listen to is actually really very similar. This was evident for decades in many countries, including Afghanistan and countries like Indonesia, both of which have some of the highest Muslim populations in the world. In Afghanistan, the name of which, by the way, comes from Upaganistan, which means in Sanskrit, the place inhabited by allied tribes, is the place from where Gandhara, the Mahabharata, came from. Today, the city of Gandhara is known as Kandahar. In Indonesia, which has the highest number of Muslims of any country in the world, the influence and respect for their Hindu culture and their heritage throughout history in the past has been tremendous. For example, the legend, the Ramayana, plays a huge role in their society. Theaters, plays, books, stories, artwork, even in their stamps, many of which have pictures of Ram, Sita, and Hanuman. In fact, an Indonesian dance troupe, which performed at the 2018 Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summits in Singapore, picked the Ramayana as their theme for their dance. The role of Sita was played by a young Muslim lady, and when interviewed about it, stated that Ramayana goes beyond these barriers of religion and ethnicity. In Indonesia, it is a philosophy of life. It is integral to every household. We teach our children about Ram and Sita and tell them they are heroes. Despite a difference in religion, heritage and culture remains the same. In fact, former President of the United States, Barack Obama, once famously mentioned that he had a special place for India in his imagination. And the reason cited was, while living in Indonesia, he was often told the story of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. In fact, there was an anecdote about a Pakistani minister who, while visiting Indonesia during Diwali time, noticed that they were celebrating the Ramayana. He asked one of the Indonesian ministers how, as Muslims, we could be celebrating a Hindu story. And the Indonesian minister replied that though we've changed our religion, we've not changed our ancestors. This is the Hindu-Muslim relationship. And across the world, it is one of common heritage and common culture that should bind us rather than creating any division. Across the world, given the significant percentage of Hindus and Muslims, we share a very positive synergy that, if further promoted, enhanced, can bring peace and harmony throughout the world. So I'll stop there and then elaborate.
And it's called Tharbakar. And there, when I went to visit the Hindu homes, they had a janamas, a prayer mat for Muslims, and the Muslims in the villages, they don't eat beef. And this has been going on for centuries. So we can live together and we can flourish together. And next I'm going to ask Risha ji to make her opening statement and tell us what she thinks.
Thank you so much, Anila ji. I'm so deeply honored to share my thoughts today and be together with my fellow panelists at this historic Parliament of World Religions. Thank you so much for being here. I think this is an important occasion where we are all meeting, people of different varied faiths, diverse sects, and we will come together under one umbrella to share, to learn, to receive, the understanding of shared values that exist across diverse religions. We all have values that supersede our differences, the values of love, the values of humanity, freedom, justice, and these are what we all strive for. Our topic today is Ganga, Jamuna, Tehzeeb. The waters of the two rivers, Ganga and Jamuna, flow in India, and they may flow from different directions, but when they come together in confluence at Prayag, in Prayagraj in India, that is where Hindus consider it as a holy spot. The holiest spot, it's called Sangam, or the confluence of these rivers, where the separateness of these rivers becomes indistinguishable and they become one. This is the holy spot for us, and this is why we consider the Ganga Jamuna Tehzeeb as an important cornerstone of multiculturalism. This confluence of two religions also, Hindu and Muslim, have driven a lot of the culture, the food habits, the dance, the music that exists in India today, in the greater India, and these are the shared values of Pakistan and India as well. And while we may perceive through the politics and the geopolitics, as Anilaji said, to have different and separate identities, there are intersecting values that we need to explore and continue to explore. And this amalgamation and shared interaction has given birth to languages like Urdu and Hindavi, to ghazals, qawwalis, to shared traditions in art, culture, dance, and through cultural festivals like Rekhta, which happen across India and Pakistan, and of course Bollywood interactions. We come together today to discuss the common ethos that drives our values and build bridges instead of spreading hate, suspicion, and mistrust. Because all of us here care for human rights and religious freedom. We have more in common in this world and living together as sentient beings. With the rising power of democratization of media, of social media, and shared values in this world, we have seen that there's an easy propagation of positives, which is why we are all here from all over the world, and also can talk about it on communication channels. But we also have easy facilitation of tropes, of rumors, of cancel culture. So these are things we need to come together to use these powerful mediums to build confluences, to build those sangams, those holy spots. And we need to create more and more areas where we can build bridges and human connections, human stories of sharing and caring, and overcoming the cancel culture and spreading of hate and bigotry. The famous Sufi poet Rumi said, "Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, and I will meet you there." We need to find that space and build stories of goodness, which get lost in the noise. We need to build connections and good faith, and collectively call out bad faith actors who overpower our narrative on either sides by taking maybe one incident and blowing it out of proportion and building new stories and perpetrating selective truths. The media today sometimes lends itself to becoming a propaganda tool for insufficient truths, partial lies, and sometimes complete fabrications. Just yesterday, one of the participants in this Parliament of World Religions came up to me and said to me in the hallway that in Ahmedabad in India, there's a section 144 today, such that even 4 people cannot stand together and talk and they will be arrested. Actually, that is completely false, I told him, because I had just come from Ahmedabad. I was visiting there for a few months. And, with the kind of crowds and population that we have in India, it is impossible to, have this unless there's a curfew. Pew Research USA, the reputed religious survey agency, conducted one of the largest surveys in India 2 years ago, studying how religious groups interact with each other and whether they face discrimination. And the answer was that 80% of the population said that they do not face religious or sectarian discrimination, they live in harmony. And in Ahmedabad, I have seen personally some of that interaction of positivity, where there are, Hindu doctors serving Muslim populations and also Muslim, staffs working in, across all maybe malls and beauty salons and owning businesses. So that multiculturalism exists everywhere where we have seen, and as much as it exists in America. The answer to all sectarian and religious tensions is prosperity, socioeconomic upliftment, as we have seen. And today I'm with panelists from Pakistan who also have connections to Gujarat in Pakistan as well as in India. There is a common identity that we share, a common civilizational identity that we share together. I want to also talk about some of the common aspects we see, like you mentioned, Rakiji, about Indonesia. Just like we have Ganga, Jamuna, Tehzeeb in India, we also have what one of my Indonesian friends called the Ram Rahim Tehzeeb, right? Because they have also the Ramayana, which is held every Navratri. Ramayana stories dominate the cultural ethos of Indonesia and Thailand. In America, also, as the number of South Asians grow and we find people of India and Pakistan coming here to build build a country, build their careers and lives. We have to continue to make these connections and build the bridges, and that is why we are very keen that we continue this. And I want to just say that we have to find that point which Rumi says is beyond the duality, which in India we call Advaita, the point beyond the right doing, beyond the wrong doing. And as we strive to reach these zeniths, I want to talk about what Swami Vivekananda spoke in Chicago at the Parliament of World Religions, representing the greater undivided India at that time in 1893. And he said, as the different streams having their sources in different places all mingle their water in the sea, so, O Lord, the different paths which men take through different tendencies of different religions, various though they appear, crooked or straight, they all lead to thee. So in that spirit, I want to hand over the mic next to my dear friend, Rana Raza.
I was in Morocco and everybody thought I'm from India and they were asking me to sing Bollywood songs, and I was very happy to do that. And I was just happy that they had learnt our Urdu Hindi through Bollywood movies. That's how much we have in common, if only we see it that way. And that's the mindset that we are trying to build. Next, I will ask Rana ji. Rana is from Pakistan. She's from the city I belong, Karachi. And I'm going to ask her to also share a little bit about her relationship with young Rutvij that you see here. Rana ji.
Thank you very much, Jalila. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah I begin, and He is the one and only God which we believe in. All of us have the same divine, no matter Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jews, everybody. We belong to Him and we will return to Him. So thank you very much, and it was so good and it was an honor for me to be here in this panel. And everybody is talking exactly the same words. I have everything exactly the same which everybody was saying. Like if we ask random people about Muslims and Hindus, especially people from South Asia, like Pakistan and Hindustan, like random people, what comes to our mind and their mind, and they think Hindus and Muslims, their response would be war, terrorism, and enemies. But generally speaking, it isn't so. How can we target the similarities which we have between us? Why can't people acknowledge the beautiful things we have all our ancestors, we have come from India. We know that everything which they have, we have, and we love all those things which we left in India. So how can a general public say that we have just war and terrorism between us? Why can they say that, wow, they look the same? As a matter of fact, when we came here, many of the Americans, they don't know who are Muslims and who are Hindus. We are all brown people, and they think that we are the same. So we have so many things in common. We have rich heritage of Sawarthi Sindhi civilization in Balochistan and the other sections, like Jama Masjid in Delhi, fertile lands in every corner of both the countries, no matter what group we belong to. People on both sides are united by one thing, and you know all what that one thing would be. Cricket. Cricket is the thing which everybody loves, and especially in India and Pakistan, they play and everybody loves to watch cricket for hours. And that is one thing that we have absolutely ladies from both the sides love to be pampered. We have the same cuisine, it's somewhat a little bit different, but we have same cuisine, and that's very, very yummy. And people here, they want to eat all those kind of things, all those kind of food which we cook for ourselves. So we cannot say that we have just war and terrorism, no, nothing. Ruins of Harappa Indus civilization, which is the oldest civilization in the world, exists in Pakistan. And everybody knows that there we have got murtis and jewelry, old jewelry which belong to India, which the people in India used to wear. Despite of the political conflicts, the general public share the same want we all speak Hindi and Urdu, which considered to be two languages, but as a register is the same. A Hindi speaker can understand Urdu and an Urdu speaker can understand Hindi. We all love to see Bollywood movies which are in Hindi, and people here ask me also, then do you understand their language? And I said, yes, I can understand, I can speak that language because it is very similar to Urdu. Here I would like to introduce my friend Rutvij Hore, who was one of my students for the Urdu language. As a matter of fact, he came to me through Anila Ali, with whom he developed the idea to teach Indian students the Nastaliq script of Urdu and Pakistani students the Devanagari script of Hindi. Our course, I would say that Rutvij has learned that language so fast because it's so much very similar to Hindi. At one time, we had a Zoom which we invited people from all over United States, and I'm very proud to say that we had 3,000 people. We could not accommodate on that Zoom. People from everywhere were there. I was writing their names in Urdu in calligraphy, and Rutvij was writing their names in Hindi, and they loved it. They loved it. So how can we be different? We are the ones who can be an example for all those people who think that we are enemies. We have just wars and terrorism in between us. We are the ones who are building bridges, and we are the ones who are really, we are proud of each other, that we don't have anything against like that. People from that country, like Hindus, that religion, they always visit our mosque, and we as Muslims, we go to their place, and we share everything with each other. They come and pray, they make dua, and we go there and we go to everything, everywhere inside there. So how can we be enemies? We have interfaith iftars during Ramadan, and we invite and we have all those Hindu people with us in synagogues or mosques or wherever we have, and they don't feel very uncomfortable to join us. So that is why we have very much friends with Hindu people. Even with all this, there are still numerous problems for international students in this country. For students like from Pakistan and India, South Asian, like lack of accommodations for non-English languages, speakers, and as immigrants, a foreign land, with shared culture and common experiences, the need of work together for the benefit of individual communities and our children is more important than ever, which is why the Hindu and Muslim population must unite. When we have our Eid or Ramadan, and they celebrate their events, how is it so that we don't get a holiday? How is it so that they don't care for whatever festivals we are celebrating? The Hindu children or Muslim children, they get all those kind of homeworks, they get all kind of preparations to prepare for the exams. Why is it so that we need to work on it? And for that we have to be really united. Why is it so that we are getting all the play cards, all the flyers, all the notices, everything which come from hospitals or bus stations or train stations? That pamphlet, that flyer has each and every language. English is obviously English. Then they have Taiwanese, they have Persian, they have Mandarin. They have all kind of languages written in that, except for Urdu and Hindi. Why? I have an experience that so many seniors, I'm senior, but older people than me who cannot even English understand and speak English, they come to me for translation. When I go to the hospitals, there are so many women who come to me because when I'm covering, I'm wearing that shalwar kameez. They come to me, can you speak Urdu? Can you understand this English? Can you tell us? So I translate it for them. So we need to have something like in common, and we should approach people who can take care of these things. Thank you very much. In the end, I would say that Allama Iqbal was the poet and he always said, like, we have to be one. We are Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent all the people in this land, and he never made any Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jews, or anybody. He has sent the people here to love with each other. He hasn't sent anybody to fight with each other or terrorism for anybody or anybody at all. When we will go there, as we are going to go there, he will ask that how much love did you give to everybody? Did we give as much love as we were asked to? I don't think so. And exactly the same way Allama Iqbal, everybody knows about him. In Urdu he has written, Qahhari wa Ghaffari wa Quddusi wa Jabrut, ये चार अनासिर हो तो बनता है मुसलमान और बनता है इंसान. Everybody, I hope everybody understand this. Otherwise, it is something to rout the foes, to grant them reprieve, do pious deeds, and show great minds. Greet them with good things. And 4 ingredients like that make a very good Muslim and a very great man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ranaji. Very beautiful sentiments, and of course, the poetry sums it all up. We have Ruthwich here. He's going to go next. Ruthwich has been working diligently to bring the Hindu and the Muslim community together. He's been doing this for many, many years, and I'm asking him now to share his opening statement.
Namaste to all my brothers and sisters here. First of all, I'd like to thank the Parliament for their gracious invitation to speak, all my panelists for attending, and of course the entire audience here for coming. I greet you with the words, brothers and sisters, those of Swami Vivekananda before me, because I feel that these are perhaps the words that most clearly introduce the Hindu worldview, rooted in the Hindu values of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that the world is one family, and Ekam Sat Vipraha Bodhavadanti, that the truth is one, but it is expressed in different ways. The Gurus within not only the Hindu but actually the Tibetan Buddhist traditions too, I believe, tend to explain it with the analogy of a mountain. At the top is the divine, and you can take multiple paths. You can take a car, you can take a bike, or who knows, you can find some new path completely altogether. These paths are all different. You take a walk, you're going to get much more scenery. You take a plane, you'll get there much faster. But at the end of the day, so long as a path reaches the top of the mountain, so long as a path reaches the divine, it still works. In this way then for the Hindu, there is no believer and unbeliever, but truly a group of brothers and sisters all walking different paths in an effort to reach the same divine. These two ideas have been the foundation of not only Hinduism but of all Dharmic cultures over millennia. It has inspired Swami Ramakrishna, the guru of this parliament, Swami Vivekananda, to study Sufism and Christianity in order to better understand the various paths that lead to God. It has inspired the Hussaini Brahmins of Punjab, whose ancestors died in the Battle of Karbala against the Umayyad Caliphate alongside Hussain, the grandson of Muhammad, to join the Muslims in the Muharram procession. It has inspired Laleshwari, a prominent female saint from Kashmir, to not only breastfeed the baby Nuruddin Wali, but to teach him about the one divine expressed in different forms and worshipped under different names. And as Muslims, like Wali, grew up in India, as Indian Islam began to develop all that time ago, they too absorbed this ethos of Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudavadanti, thus becoming perhaps the foremost examples of the words of Surah Al-Kafirun, Lakum Deenakum Waliyadin, to you your path and to me mine. They would go on to form the Rishi order of Sufism, named after the Sapta Rishis from Hinduism. Breathing in La ilaha, breathing out illallah, remembering that there is no God, but also taking in Hindu practices like ahimsa and vegetarianism. Their counterparts in Maharashtra, acknowledging the respect that Hindus have for this ahimsa, have decided not to take part in the annual sacrifice of Eid ul-Adha whenever it occurred during the Hindu festival of Ashada Ekadasi by their own wish. In Kerala, God's own country, after welcoming their Hindu brethren into a masjid named after Bawal Swami, a prominent Muslim general of the Hindu deity Ayappa, Hindus and Muslims hand in hand will head to the Sabrimala Mandir, showing that the ideals of not merely tolerance but acceptance preached by the Hindu rishis, by the Buddhist monks, by the Jain Tirthankars, by the Sikh gurus, and yes, even by the Muslim peers, at one point were not only part of, but foundational for the life of every South Asian. While under the stress of partition, many of these traditions are dying. This crucial piece of information for the Parliament to note is that we on this panel do not do anything new or historic. Rather, we are merely rebinding the historic strings that held Indian and Hindus and Muslims together. Such a rebinding is taking shape in linguistic exchanges, which you heard about from Ranaji, about teaching the Pakistani kids Devanagari, teaching the Indian kids Nastaliq, so that they, sharing a language that is spoken in the same way but written differently, may be able to read the literature of those from the other side of the border and thus better understand the ideas and thoughts of their brothers and sisters. It has taken shape in the form of visits to the masjid and to the mandir, allowing us to find commonalities in values like cleanliness and community, and it has, most deliciously I might add, taken shape in the form of food exchanges, where the Hindu community, at the invitation of our Muslim sisters, has demonstrated how to make delectable vegetarian food during Ramadan in the absence of halal options. Perhaps one of the most important moments of cooperation, however, came just a few months ago. In California, a few radical groups were pushing for a bill SB 403 that, in its initial version, explicitly aimed to label South Asians, including Hindus and South Asian Muslims, as inherently oppressive, singling out a group for scrutiny and thus violating the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. When the bill moved to the coalition legislature, it was AMWAC that signed a coalition letter standing with multiple grassroots organizations, both Hindu and non-Hindu, against SB 403. It was because of their help that the bill has been modified now to be less discriminatory, with any explicit mention of South Asians actually be removed. And for that, we thank our Muslim sisters. The work that we have been able to do with them has been an example, at least in my eyes, and I'm sure I can speak on behalf of the entire Hindu community when I say in all of our eyes. It has been an example to the world, showing how the values of universal oneness and polycentricity, the idea of the acknowledgement that there are perhaps more than one way to the same God. These ideas can bring together people regardless of faith for a better future. And as our years progress, as we go forward, I am looking forward to see how this relationship goes. Dhanyavad and Namaste.
Very nice.
Thank you. We're looking for your leadership in the next few years. We need more of our young people bringing us together and speaking up for everybody everywhere. Thank you, Rutvij. That was very good. God bless you. Yes, we have many young children many young people that we need to nurture, and that's our focus.
Anita, yeah, so, I'm just wondering now, obviously, myself, you, all of us, we've been working together for so long, but we've also been coming at it from different sides. I'm sure you guys have had, meetings in your masjids about how to work with the Hindu community. We've had meetings in our Mandir about how to work with the Muslim community. And so, I have to ask from your end, right, from your perspective, what have been some of the biggest successes and what have been some of the hardest challenges in working with the Hindu community? I'll ask you, and then I'd also like Ranaji to answer as well.
Our challenges have been to get more Indian women engaged in our organization. Rutvij came forward himself. Not that we haven't reached out. We have Sikh brothers, we have Catholics, we have Christians, we have Jews, we have everybody. So we would like to see more of the Hindu community come and join us, because in the end, hate is going to affect all of us. We are all going to be affected by this. I do remember that once when we were having an interfaith iftar, I tried very hard. The rabbi and I sat down and I said, we have to get the Hindus. And he said, do you know any? And I said, okay, I know Hindus, but I don't know the Pandits. And it was that year that I went and joined forces with the Indian Lions Club, and we did an interfaith. And that was a beautiful event. But I have a feeling now that we are going to be, with all these wonderful Indian women here, we're going to have more collaboration. I'd like to see that happen, because when we are together, we can monitor what's happening in schools and colleges, and perhaps through our behavior, we can be the role models to our young people. Because all of this, geopolitics is going to affect us, our young people. We need to be the matriarchs for them. So that's been one of our challenges. I think we've had many successes on an individual level. Whenever we are Indians, Hindus, Pakistanis, we are the best of friends. And sometimes, yes, we discuss politics. I know my son's best friend is Hindu, and they have sat together and watched India-Pakistan play cricket. Rishi was rooting for India, Daniel was rooting for Pakistan. They spent the entire night watching these cricket matches, and there was nothing going on that I would say. In fact, it was a hallelujah moment. I think that we can role model this behavior as parents, as leaders of the community, and that is going to help our young people see and find those solutions. We need to find solutions to problems, and then we can have a better world. I'll pass it on to Rana ji.
Thank you very much, Anila. Thank you very much, Anila. So, I think whatever Anila said was really good, but I would like to suggest something, and everybody knows that when we have discussions in our houses, along with our children, we should try and put that seed into their mind when they are babies, that there is no hatred. There's no hatred. There's nothing like Hindus, Muslims, and anything. We are all friends, especially like we are in this country. We are the same. We have everything the same. So we should love each other. Life is too short for love. Why do we have to hate people? And now I would like Rutvish to tell me that did you find any difficulties working with the Muslims anywhere?
Rakesh, do you want to take this one first, and then after that I can take it?
So I think there are two things to answer that question that I'll mention. That we're living in a very interesting time with the social media and the instant access to information. That I see this with my own kids. My daughter, who's 14, she's about to be 15. She'll come to me and she'll say, this happened, or this person is bad, or this person is good. And what I always tell her is that if you want the social media, if you want someone else to tell you how to think, then just let me do that. You don't need to do any thinking. I'll tell you exactly what to do and how to live your life. That all of us have to understand that the data points that are coming in influence our perception of the world. And so it becomes very important that we control the flow of data in our own minds and our own lives. I think that's probably the biggest obstacle to harmony and peace in this world, is that the data points that are being thrown at us by very biased media or organizations that feed on destruction or destructive information, that those need to be called out, right? And the second part that ties into this is the idea that we should not take information at face value, that we should look at it and verify it for ourselves before we take it to before we act on it. And then finally, the one thing that I'll mention is that we should look for commonalities and things that create synergies between us, because we are, after all, as has been said by all the speakers, we're all human beings, regardless of the beliefs, the ideologies, or whatever it is, that we need to look for commonalities that bring us together rather than separate us.
First, I'll just address one thing. The parliament moved her time down a bit, and so it actually conflicted with Nilaji's flight. That's why she had to leave. But yeah, we'll work through it now. Yeah, better. Now, in order to address this point, I'll say that first of all, the challenges that we've faced have been far outweighed by the successes that we've had. You know, where before there was no dialogue happening, now there is. Where before there was, some sense of distrust, there was some sense of unfamiliarity. Now there's brotherhood. Where there was before, some sense of, can we trust these people, right? Now the answer has become absolutely. Over the years, because of this work, the bond that was severed by partition have now been rebound. And of course, that's not to say there haven't been challenges. I think probably one very pertinent example that I can give happened when myself and Rihanna ji in Irvine organized it was one particular, I think, exchange between a masjid and mandir. We went to a local masjid and they came to our mandir. And after that, I think Ambac posted it, Hindu Pact posted it, a lot of groups posted it. And what happened was, we got some feedback from the Muslim community. Hindus overall were fine, we got, one or two questions. But from the Muslim community, there was the feedback of, oh, why were kafirs let into our holy masjid, right? And, even I personally got some threats, I don't know what, I'm sure Rakiji's got them as well, a lot of us get them in the community, right? They said, kafir, you enter our masjid again and watch what will happen. Just wait and see. We've gotten threats like this, but I'll tell you one thing, I think I speak on behalf of all of us that we will not be deterred. There's one Pradayatana I grew up saying, it has one stanza. Vishwa Dharma Prakashena Vishwa Shanti Pravartake Hindu Sangat Nakarye Dheya Nishtastas. With the light of Dharma, let us, the Hindu community, have the goal of spreading peace throughout the world. And that is, I'd say, all of our Hindu groups that are here, all of our Dharmic groups, I'd argue, even all of the Muslim groups that are here, our fundamental goal is to spread peace around the world. And if we need to work with Muslims to do that, if we need to work with Christians to do that, we need to work with any group to do that, we are more than ready to do so. So, that being said, I wanted to ask very quickly to Ruchaji. Now, we've seen, we've had these kind of, threats come in to Hindus, right? We've seen a growth of extremism. You do see some level of, hatred and, extremist beliefs. So, how do we handle this rapid growth of extremism in the United States?
Yeah, thank you, Ritwij. So extremism, I think we are seeing, one of the most important things that we are seeing right now is the translation and transmigration of the South Asian politics into America. I think that is what is driving a lot of this extremism, because some of those differences, whether they are geopolitical, as our population grows in the United States, there has been a rise in that extremist element here. Also, like I pointed out in my initial comments, the rumor spreading, the selective reporting of, in media, when we are actually talking about, for example, I want to, call the spade, like in Manipur, for example, the stories that are being spread here or anywhere else in media are all hateful stories and they're wrong stories, right? So that is how extremism really spreads, when you have, and how bigotry or fundamentalism spreads is when you have false stories being spread, ethnic conflicts are being called as religious conflicts, and many other such stories. So all I would say is that we need to address it through proper propagation of right, information, making sure we have these kind of connections. Because when we don't connect, for me, like when I connect to Rana ji, who's some of the sweetest moments I've had in this conference have been, talking to her and meeting Anila ji and her. And so what we find is that the differences that we keep in our head, they suddenly melt when you have a connection with your heart. So we need to build these kind of platforms so that this extremism that is being perpetrated, or extreme stories that are being perpetrated, they are, they fall below, and our, energies rise up as we continue to bring confluence. The Sangam, this is that moment that we need to keep bringing. More communication reduces that stress of extremism.
Thank you very much, Rupert and Arkiji. So the thing is that, like he said, that there were so many threats coming to him. I think people, no matter Hindus or Muslims, they talk against each other. That's a general public. And they want us to heat up, so that when we heat up, we have quarrels, we have all kind of discussions, and then it ends up into fight. We, as like educated people in the mosque, people in the Gurdwara, when we go there, they are all learned people. They always say things about good things. And we just have to turn a deaf ear to those people who are threatening us. Why should we listen to them, and why should we not listen to the people who know about Islam, Hinduism, every religion? They invite us, and in our masjid, the imam said that no matter who, they are very welcome to this masjid. Similarly, when we went there, we were very much welcome, and that was a very warm welcome. So it's a general public, and we should not care about those people. Thank you.
Yes, that was beautiful energy. I think, there's one thing I want to clarify. When I said that we received threats, it was from a very small amount of Muslims. I think it was one or two that, sent those every threats. 99% of the Muslims, I'd say close to probably 99.99999 have been nothing but supportive of our efforts. And so I think that's very clear. And, I wanted to ask, one more question actually to Ranaji only, if it's okay. This bond that we discussed between you and Ranaji.
And I think we should also ask the audience if they have any questions to keep them ready.
Yes.
And while Ranaji asks them, answer.
In certain communities, the female leadership does tend to be lower. So, Ranaji, I'd ask you, how can we increase the amount of female leaders that we work with? How can we make sure that there are 100 of you that can speak at these type of panels? Please.
So this is the reason, like, especially like how we are connected here. Rishi, Rishi, we are all the same. Just because it's not about anything else, no religion, nothing. We are just female, we are women, and we have everything in common. We have everything there in common. I am a board member of AMVAC, and AMVAC is American Muslims Multi-Faith Women Empowerment Council. In the beginning, the name of this organization was AMVEC, AMWEC, American Muslims Women Empowerment Council. But then, when people came in, when the women came in, they were Hindus, they were Jews, they were Christians, we have so many other religions, and I did not even know about those people until and unless I came to United States. So we changed the name from AMVEC, AMWEC to AMM, Muslims Multi-Faith Women Empowerment Council. And this is how when they come here, we try to bring them into us, and then we try to teach them things. And that is how women are coming into power, not just through us, because now they have an awareness. And why are we not giving them chance to offices and everything? We know that they are very well educated. Mashallah, these two ladies I see, I'm so proud of these two, Rishi and they are so very well educated, and I can ask questions to them, and I want that the solution is with them.
Consistently noticed in the media is that they're not covered. We see from a lot of the media outlets a lack of coverage of the female Muslim and the Hindu leaders. And so what that does is, the media will often focus on the bad news, right? There's some riot that goes on, there's some fight that happens. The media will talk about that will get spread all over. When something good happens, which often comes to female leadership, that often isn't discussed. And so I have to ask, Rathiji, we have such a, lack of representation of female Muslim leadership and Hindu leadership in the media. How would you recommend we deal with this?
So yeah, I mean that's a great question for both of our communities, and I think there's a multi-pronged answer to this. But before I even get to that, I wanted to comment on something that Ranaji said. That we are, as we've kind of alluded alluded to or sort of discussed through this session is that though the religion may be different, the culture is exactly the same. It's underlying ideology in how we live our lives and what we do in terms of food and the music and all that stuff is very similar. And the second part of this whole thing is that as we know, the laws of a nation or of a city or a state or whatever are pretty clear, right? Murder is wrong, rape is wrong, taking someone else's possession is wrong. But we forget that there are also natural laws that govern humanity, and that beyond these man-made state laws, that there are laws that make society or the community or a family or whatever it is proceed or progress in harmony, and that each of us actually has the power through our role in society to either promote harmony for ourselves and those around us, or to promote massive disharmony. And now the third part of this whole thing is that we're just one speck of humanity. That we, as human beings on a shared earth in common communities, it is very important, and this is why I love actually what I've heard about Ranaji and Anilaji, is that they are always willing to call out bad behavior when they see it that promotes disharmony in the larger society. There's a quote, and I don't remember exactly how it goes. That it's during the time of the Holocaust that when they came for the socialists, I didn't speak up because I wasn't a socialist. They came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a trade unionist. They came for the Jews, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak. And I think that itself is something that all of us need to understand, that no matter to whom a bad behavior is happening or what bad thing is happening, it is everyone's duty as a human on this earth, as a member of humanity, that we need to speak up about actions that promote disharmony. It's our duty for a higher purpose, whether we may call this power Allah or Ram, that we all have a duty to call out bad or destructive behavior. And with that, given what Ranaji said, the idea that the American Muslim women's empowerment, the idea that they are empowering female girls and women to lead productive and lives that contribute to in order to promote a greater harmony. Now, to answer your questions, about media, I think that there are also two steps to this, right? One is the idea that the input of what our children, their perception of the world needs to be shaped in a way that creates a better life for themselves and the people around them. I'll just tell you, so I have 4 kids. My son, who's 13, about 4 or 5 years ago, he had this idea that no matter what happened or what bad thing happened to him in life, it was someone else's fault. Right? And so there's always tantrums and yelling and screaming. My sisters did this.
I think emblematic of both our desires and the desires of the Muslim community. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kasyit Dukkha Bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. May all people be happy. May all people be free of disease. May all people look upon each other with auspiciousness. May there be peace. May there be peace. May there be peace. Namaste, Assalamu Alaikum, and Dhanyavad.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you for having us